going to get tea. It's Stephanie White. She has had enough of what she has seen from the officials here today. Understandable frustration from Stephanie White.
Couple of possessions in a row where Leah Boston got the fouls. I thought the first one should have been on Howard. And then here, as Petty's in there, Hillman kind of tosses her to the side a little bit, and that was the straw that broke the camel's.
Was it bad luck, or was it a setup from the start? For the Indiana Fever, their first playoff game felt less like a competition and more like a carefully orchestrated ambush. They walked in missing half their team, only to be dismantled by a series of baffling calls that had their coach, Stephanie White, seeing red. She got a technical foul for screaming what every fan already knew: this wasn't a fair fight. But the real story isn't just about bad calls, it's about a team so broken by injuries that they were forced to fight with one hand tied behind their back. This felt like a deliberate sabotage, and what happened in Game 1 has left the entire WNBA wondering if the Fever were victims of a blatant playoff heist.
You have Sophie Cunningham, Sid Colson, Ari McDonald, all actually having to sit separate from the bench. You also have Damiris Duntis.
Imagine preparing for the biggest game of your season, knowing you're already defeated on paper. That was the grim reality for the Indiana Fever, who entered the playoffs facing an injury crisis of biblical proportions. It wasn't just one or two players down, it was a catastrophic collapse of their roster. 6 players, all crucial rotation pieces, were gone. Caitlin Clark's season was over after a devastating groin injury. So were Chloe Bibby's, Sophie Cunningham's, and Sydney Colson's, all sidelined with knee problems. Ari McDonald was out with a foot issue, and just to twist the knife, Damiris Dantas was ruled out by concussion protocol hours before tip-off. This was a team walking into a war without its soldiers.
We got the injured reserves here with you guys, which last month, they just weren't able to travel. What does that mean to you specifically, just having them there?
Yeah, I was super excited. I think just looking at the injured squad in itself, they just have a lot of knowledge. And so for us, just being able to listen to them, taking what they see, because obviously just them watching is going to be a different view than us on that court. And so super happy to have them with us.
The scene on the sideline told the whole story. The Fever brought all 16 of their players to Atlanta, a powerful gesture of unity that also exposed the absurdity of their situation. There were so many players in street clothes that they couldn't even fit on the bench. A second row had to be set up behind the active players, making the sideline look more like an airport waiting area than a professional playoff team. It was a visual representation of a team held together by sheer willpower, a stark reminder of the bad hand they'd been dealt all season long. You know you've hit the injury lottery when you can't even fit your whole group along the sideline.
Obviously, the injured players, they haven't been able to travel, some of them, but most of them are here now. Just how do they help kind of from a culture-wise and with just bringing some perspective to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we miss them every day on the court. So to be able to have them we had our plane, front of our plane, normally we have empty seats. It was filled on the way here. So, I mean, they bring energy, they bring light, they bring their vocal leaders, all of them. So to have them on this trip is huge. And I don't know how we're going to fit everyone on the bench. It's not that long. It's been packed recently. So I'm excited to see how we figure that out, but it'll be great to have them back with us.
And standing across from them was the Atlanta Dream, a team that was fully healthy, fully loaded, and ready to feast. While Indiana was patching together lineups with whoever could still walk, the Dream had their entire arsenal at their disposal. They were bigger, deeper, and had the luxury of rotating fresh bodies in and out. It was a classic David versus Goliath story, but this time it seemed like David had been kneecapped before he even picked up a stone. The sheer imbalance was staggering, and it created an atmosphere where a fair fight seemed completely out of the question from the very beginning.
They're finally able to travel from a medical standpoint as well. So, I think having the whole group here, having those guys here gives us a little bit of a boost emotionally, and then having their perspective. I mean, you're talking about 3 point guards that are sitting on the sideline that can talk to our team in huddles, that can talk to our team, throughout the course of dead balls or when they come on and off the floor.
But this adversity wasn't new. It was the story of their entire season. Indiana fought through this exact kind of punishment just to secure the 6th seed in the first place. They scratched and clawed their way through months of lineups, shuffled together like a puzzle missing half its pieces. They never had a consistent rotation, never had a chance to build chemistry, and instead of being rewarded with a clean slate for the playoffs, they showed up in Atlanta with more names on the inactive list than some teams have on their bench. This was a team forged in the fires of constant struggle, a group that had already proven its resilience long before this playoff series even began.
Come on, guys. This is my new team, the medical staff. Oh, yeah.
And against all odds, the Fever came out swinging. For a brief, glorious moment, they made everyone forget about their decimated roster. They stormed out to a 15-6 lead, with Kelsey Mitchell hitting shots and Aaliyah Boston owning the paint. They played with a ferocious energy, a defiant roar that announced they wouldn't go down quietly. For a moment, it felt like the impossible was about to happen. A broken roster was threatening a healthy, heavily favored Dream Squad on their home floor. It felt like a miracle in the making, a testament to their unbreakable spirit, but that fire was about to be extinguished by a force they couldn't possibly prepare for.
What the referees did, and I know why Stephanie White got a technical foul. Any coach that had to watch their team work so hard all season long, played through every single injuries. And the reason why they had so many injuries is because of these referees.
Just as Indiana looked poised to pull off the impossible, a third team inserted itself into the game, the officiating crew. Suddenly, the flow of the game was hijacked by a storm of whistles that all seemed to blow in one direction. Defensive stops that should have turned into fast breaks instead became free throws for Atlanta. Clean blocks were called as fouls. The rhythm the Fever had built with so much effort was systematically dismantled, one baffling call at a time, bleeding the life and urgency out of their inspired start.
Ryan Howard just falls down, but it's a foul. Like, this is ridiculous. Look at this, Kelsey Mitchell. They don't even let the Fever play defense because she's associated with Caitlin Clark. Look at this one. Another foul where nobody touched him. So they lost the timeout and they lost their challenges for the game because
the first blatant sign of trouble came early. Lexi Hall was whistled for a phantom foul on Ryan Howard, a call so obviously wrong that Stephanie White was forced to burn one of her precious challenges in the first quarter, something no coach ever wants to do. The replay confirmed what everyone watching already knew: there was no foul. White won the challenge, but it was a hollow victory. She had proven the referees were making clear mistakes, but in doing so, she lost a vital tool she might need to survive the rest of the game. It was a calculated risk that revealed a deeply flawed system was already tilting the floor.
The referees took it over. Look at this. Everybody saw this. Lexi Hall didn't touch her, but they had to waste their first challenge on this play. Here we go. Look at this. She gets elbowed in the face, and they call a foul on Brianna Turner. And then Lexi Hall turns around to go back on defense, but she gets charged for a foul, and they wanted to upgrade it, reviewed it.
The situation became even more absurd just minutes later. White had to use her second and final challenge before halftime on another questionable call, and once again, she won it. She later admitted how frustrating it was to prove the referees wrong twice in such a short span, because it offered only cold comfort. She was out of challenges completely at the mercy of a crew that had already demonstrated its incompetence. She was left powerless, forced to watch the game unfold, knowing she had no more recourse to correct the clear and obvious errors that were continuing to pile up against her team.
Look at this. Boston gets elbowed in the face by Brittany Griner. Do you think they called it? No. And look at this. Lexi Hall did not touch her. Didn't even touch her. And she gets free throws. Here we go. Kelsey Mitchell touched her hip lightly.
As the game wore on, a disturbing pattern emerged. It felt like two different rulebooks were being used on the court. Indiana was being officiated with microscopic scrutiny, penalized for any hint of contact. Meanwhile, Atlanta's physicality was allowed to run unchecked. Fans watched in disbelief as the Dream imposed their will with an aggression that consistently crossed the line, yet the whistles remained silent. It created an environment where one team could play playoff basketball and the other had to play with their hands tied.
Lexi Hall gets thrown out of bounds. No foul, right? Remember that play, okay? Boston, foul. But look at this. So she goes for the ball, and then they call a foul on Lexi Hall. Look at, she says, wow.
The double standard was infuriatingly obvious. Fans watched Brianna Jones throw an elbow into Brianna Turner with no call. They saw Brittany Griner repeatedly shove and dislodge Aaliyah Boston on post-ups, again with no consequence. Yet on the other end, Odyssey Sims got hit with a technical for diving for a loose ball. A hustle play that should have been praised was instead punished. The inconsistency made every possession a gamble, chipping away at the Fever's confidence, focus, and rhythm. If Indiana put a body on someone, it was an automatic foul. If Atlanta did it, it was just good, hard defense.
Well, Lexi, talk about the physicality of this game and knowing it's the playoff playing in such a physical game like today.
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew coming in it's playoffs, it's going to be physical, and we're going to have to learn how to play with that, especially this team is inherently a physical team. So for us, knowing that's the case and being able to respond, I think there's things that we're able to watch and film on how to handle that better, not letting the refs determine, how that physically is impacting us, but just continuing to play through that. It's definitely something we're going to have to work on and watch film and get better at, but that's part of playoffs, and that's part of the thing that we're going to have to get better at moving forward in the series.
The eruption finally came in the fourth quarter. After a sequence where Ryan Howard blatantly pulled on Shea Petty without a whistle, Stephanie White finally snapped. She laid into the officials with a fury that had been building all night, earning a technical foul for saying exactly what every single person watching was thinking. She became the voice for every fan's outrage. A coach pushed past her breaking point by a game that felt fundamentally unfair. It was a raw, unfiltered display of passion from a leader who refused to watch her team be dismantled in silence.
They didn't stop either. You'd think after 20 of them, look at this. So that's a foul, right? But watch when the Fever do it 2 times in a row, same exact thing. But it's not a foul when the Fever drive. Look at this. It's not a foul when the Fever get hit in the air, but the Dream get free throws. Same exact plays. Look at this one. What are you supposed to do? Just roll out the red carpet and give them a layup? She is not fouling her. They give her a 3-point play for putting your hands up.
In the ensuing chaos, a truly surreal moment unfolded. As White's anger threatened to escalate even further, it was her injured superstar, Caitlin Clark, who hobbled onto the court to hold her back. The image of the sideline sophomore trying to calm her own coach was a powerful symbol of the team's collective despair. It was a rookie unable to play and visibly frustrated herself, who had to become the voice of reason. The scene perfectly captured the shared sense of injustice, showcasing just how deeply the officiating had shaken the entire organization to its core.
Atlanta's had a few of those last few possessions. Mitchell, catch, fire, and hit from 3. What a start. Rebound hits the floor. Hull keeps it alive for Indiana. Mitchell using the screen, dancing around Griner, and able to squeeze it in off window.
This wasn't just about points on a scoreboard, it was psychological warfare. The constant one-sided whistles chipped away at the Fever's confidence and focus. The mental exhaustion of having to battle both the opponent and the referees took its toll, directly fueling the Dream's third quarter run that ultimately put the game out of reach. It wasn't one big play, but a slow, agonizing death by 1,000 cuts, and it left players and fans alike wondering if the outcome had been decided long before the final buzzer.
And another chance here for Indiana.
So much length, and it's obvious on the defensive end for Atlanta.
Boston just kind of pushed it up and in. Guarded by Howard. And slide it into Boston. Center of the lane. Turning and finishing. Aaliyah Boston. Beautiful move.
Lexi Hall gave every ounce she had as
Through it all, one player refused to surrender. Kelsey Mitchell waged a one-woman war against the Dream, dropping a playoff career-high 27 points in a breathtaking display of offensive brilliance. She shot nearly 50% from the floor and was almost perfect from the free throw line. Every time Atlanta threatened to run away with the game, Mitchell answered with a tough shot or a relentless drive to the basket. She wasn't just getting buckets, she added 4 assists, and even a block. She was the team's beating heart, a lone warrior fighting against an overwhelming tide.
Carl Semesco emphasized first just how well she's been playing down the stretch. The efficiency has gotten much better since the second week of August, averaging nearly 20 points a game since then as Hull. 40-33, Atlanta in front. These teams split their 4 regular season meetings as Hull knocks down the 3. Oh, gets a step and finishes off the window.
But Mitchell's heroics couldn't mask the gaping hole left by Caitlin Clark's absence. Without her deep shooting threat, which forces defenses to guard players 25 feet from the basket, the Dream had no reason to respect Indiana's perimeter game. They packed the paint, forming a human wall around the basket that suffocated any chance of easy looks inside. They dared anyone other than Mitchell to beat them from the outside, a strategy that crippled the Fever's offense and turned every possession into a brutal physical battle for space.
Mitchell gets it up beautifully. Boston lays it in.
The number of screens that Aaliyah Boston set on that possession, her stagger, pinned down here. She's going to come up and set another on-ball screen, turn, re-screen action, and then finally rolls to the basket. It ends.
This defensive scheme put an immense target on Aaliyah Boston's back. She spent the entire night fighting through a sea of bodies, wrestling with multiple defenders on every single possession. Atlanta's front court, led by the imposing Brittany Griner, was allowed to be incredibly physical with her, bumping and shoving her off her spots with no repercussions. Boston was in a bruising battle, trying to establish position while simultaneously avoiding cheap fouls called against her. It was a thankless, exhausting task that severely limited her offensive impact.
I mean, we're competing against everyone. We're in every single game, and I think at the end of the day, we've seen in moments when we're not doing well or games that we've lost, it's really things that we can control. So making sure that we're locked in on all of those things and tidying up those little things, because if we can put together 40 minutes, we feel like we can beat anybody in the league. So we're excited about the opportunity. We're excited that the playoffs is finally here. And now, it's not about what our record was. It wasn't about teams we beat or who we didn't beat during the regular season. It's about Atlanta. It's about this game on Sunday. So that's all we're focused on, and we're really excited about the opportunity.
Even so, the fight never left Indiana's other players. Aaliyah Boston, despite being hounded by defenders and plagued by foul trouble, still managed to pull down an incredible 12 rebounds. Lexi Hull gave every ounce she had, playing with a relentless energy that doesn't always show up in the box score. She chased Atlanta's shooters around screens, fought for loose balls, and hit one of the team's only three-pointers on a night when the rim seemed to have a lid on it. Their contributions were a testament to their grit, the glue that kept the team from completely falling apart.
I think we're just really excited about it. I think last year our fans were robbed of getting to be part of the playoff experience. Watching the Pacers in playoff, the fans really do show out, and Gamebridge is loud and crazy and electric. And so to be able to host a game there and be able to bring what they've, how they've supported us so long, be able to give this to them and have a really fun one, I think we're really excited about it. And I love this new format.
Now, a glimmer of hope emerges from the wreckage of Game 1. The series shifts to Indianapolis, where the Fever will host a playoff game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse for the first time since 2016. For nearly a decade, this fan base has waited for a moment like this. Game 2 is no longer just a game, it's a chance for redemption. It's an opportunity for a city to rally behind its wounded team and become the 7th player on the floor, an undeniable force that even the referees can't ignore. This building's hunger will be impossible to deny.
I know that you guys are focused on the game tomorrow, but just with the change in playoff format and knowing that you guys are going to have an opportunity to play at home, does it feel differently this year at all? Even though, again, you have to get through tomorrow first.
It doesn't feel differently for me. I mean, because I've been in all the formats, as being a player and a coach, I don't know if it feels differently for them. I'm happy for our fans, that they get an opportunity to see the team in the playoffs. I remember a year ago, in Connecticut, it was like, thank God we didn't have to go back to Indiana. So I'm thankful for our fans that they're going to have this opportunity.
However, the path forward is anything but easy. The Fever are still down the same 6 players, facing the same depth issues that plagued them in Atlanta. To have any chance, their execution must be flawless. Shooting a dismal 2 for 15 from three-point range simply won't cut it. Head coach Stephanie White has made it clear, the ball has to move and quick decisions are non-negotiable. The burden on Mitchell is immense, but someone else has to emerge as a reliable scoring threat to prevent Atlanta from suffocating her with double teams once again.
Kelsey, given the playoff format change, you guys being able to actually host a postseason game for the first time in your career in Indiana, how much do you expect that to help you guys, to give you momentum, and how just personally excited are you for that?
Personally excited. I'll let you know when I get there. But I think it gives ourselves a chance to stay in a hunt of things we really trying to figure out, a way to come back here whenever we play. We would like to play again. So you're gonna have to take the necessary steps to be at your best. But I would like to think that being back at home can kind of give us a sense of comfort. So hopefully we can use it for what it's worth and not take it for granted.
This series has become a battle for survival. The Fever were battered by injuries, then betrayed by the whistles, yet they are still standing, preparing to fight again. Game 2 is their last stand, a moment that will define their entire season. The question is no longer about who they have on the court, but what they have in their hearts. Can the roar of 17,000 fans fuel an uprising and overcome a system that feels determined to count them out? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Were the Fever robbed?